Harold Perkins is very smart. And I always call Harold in my mind, he was an ear hustler. We could be talking about things on the sideline, and I'm not even thinking Harold is close enough to the conversation to hear. And Harold be kind of right there by me, and he'll say, "Hey man, what you just said again about that?" Mind you, I'm talking to these other two dudes, and Harold would hear that information, and pick it up, and then go out there and apply it.
Welcome to the Verdant Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdant. Today I'm joined by a special guest, Coach Pat Hill, former LSU assistant coach, now currently living his dream in the NFL. How are you doing, Coach Pat?
Oh man, best day of my life, man. I can't complain.
Good to hear, good to hear. So first off, let's just go into your journey. Over a decade in coaching experience. Last season you were with us at LSU as a defensive analyst. This season you're going to be moving into the assistant defensive line coach role. What does that role entail? Would you be doing kind of the same day-to-day type things?
Yeah, I'll be helping prepare the guys day in, day out in terms of being able to take on opponents. Being able to help teach, and grow the guys in terms of technique and fundamentals and stuff like that. And so it'd be very similar.
Okay. And throughout this journey, the over a decade in coaching experience that you've attained, what are lessons you've learned along the way that have gotten you to this point to be able to prepare guys in the NFL?
I think, man, keep learning. Keep being green. I try my best to actually hear my players. Oftentimes, whether it's an individual or on a sideline, I'm always trying to ask them, does it make sense, right? And so, we're going through block recognition. I'm talking about playing a scoop block as opposed to playing a slip block. It's one thing to talk about in the classroom, but it's another thing to make sure that for my guys, and our guys in the room, it makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I want to do is, be good at making sure that the things I'm trying to get across that my guys, can spit it back to me.
I agree. That's important, and that's kind of underrated. I like a couple times last season, you heard Brian Kelly say that the coaches sometimes, whenever there's a mistake or whenever there's an issue in a game, and all the media or just the fans want to point fingers at players, and Coach Kelly is selfless. He comes up to the microphone. He's like, look, it's on the coaches. We got to get the message to the guys more clear, and it's our job to teach them. So that mindset is really, really important, and I think a lot of people lose sight of that. So, as a player of yours hearing that, they may be a lot more relaxed or a lot more comfortable with you. So it does go a long way. So over a decade of coaching, what do you think your end game is? What do you think your end goal is? What are you looking forward to most whenever your coaching career is all said and done?
Man, honestly, how many lives that I impact. I've always said, I'm gonna judge my career by how many of my former players bring their kids back to meet me. Because the rings that we collect, the trophies we win, all they do is collect dust. But when your former players can bring their kids back to meet you, or send you wedding invitations, to me that's the bigger goal. Is now you made an impact in those guys' lives, man. And even right now, being 35 and still pretty young, I already have a bunch of players who have had weddings or had kids, and they send me wedding invites or send me pictures of other children. So for me, that lets me know that I'm on the right path. You know what I mean? And I'm making the right impact that God has sent me to do here on earth.
I agree. That family aspect of football is what makes everything cohesive and fun, really. That chemistry, that culture, and everything, just having everyone buy in and having those memories for a lifetime is what makes it, I think, the greatest sport on earth. But segueing a little more into that experience, what moment did you have last season at LSU where it sat and, like, all right, I'm in the SEC, everything's, whether it be moving fast pace, whether it be the competition, the tough string of SEC opponents consecutively, what was it that made you realize, like, all right, it's time to turn that fire up?
Man, that's I'm gonna tell you, even just week one, just the preparation to play Florida State. That was my first time having the chance to be in the Power Five, let alone to be at my dream school. And taking all that in, I took every moment in, and then we come back the very next week, we play Southern here in Baton Rouge, and I grew up as an LSU Tiger fan, and man, I'm not gonna lie, that Tiger walk, put up to those fans. Um, it was, understanding the love that you get when you're from here, and even playing in Tiger Stadium, just to honor to be able to, to cross that, cross underneath the wind bar, and feel that atmosphere of the crowd. Man, it was nothing like it. I ain't gonna lie, man. I probably had tears in my eyes every Sunday, right? I mean, sorry, every Saturday, because during pregame, they're gonna play Call in Baton Rouge, and I always knew that meant that it was time to go be with the O line and go 1-on-1. So I would have tears in my eyes every time that song would drop. So for me, I think it was those moments more than just particular games, man. It was just those home games and having those pregame, feelings.
Yeah, that atmosphere in Tiger Stadium it's electric, and that Southern game that you described was one of the best atmospheres all season. It's second to Alabama in my opinion. I think that Alabama game is pretty hard to overcome in terms of excitement and just overall angst in the building. But I agree. Those moments, the whole Tiger Stadium culture in general is super exciting. As a Louisiana citizen, growing up watching LSU myself, anytime I'm in Death Valley, it's always butterflies in your stomach.
Nothing like it.
Nothing at all in the world in
nothing,
sports at all. So
nothing compares.
speaking about the NFL and just, we talked about what your goal is for coaching and getting all your players to, come back and interact with you after the fact. What's it like working with pros now? Because it's a little bit different than working with college athletes. I feel like college athletes, everyone is like a sponge. Everyone is ready to learn. Everyone's ready to take the next step. And you do have that at the NFL, but also you do have the guys who have made the next step, and, they might be ready for a life after football. So what's that challenge like, and how do you get through to guys that are older now?
Man, what's neat, man, is my process. God has processed me differently, and so I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago, my mentor, who is Pete Jenkins, who a lot of people in the state of Louisiana know for sure. My mentor has been allowing me for the last 4 or 5 years every summer. We go to Frisco, Texas, and we actually train about 15, 25 players every summer. So um, it kind of allowed me to work with the pro guys, right, and learn how to approach those guys. And it was those guys who would say, "Hey, man, you need coaching in the league. The way you teach, your patience, the way you listen to us, you'd be good in the league." And so, um, over the 4 or 5 years, my want to coach in the NFL began to grow because I had been around those guys. And then I want to say about 3 years ago, I got an internship with the Kansas City Chiefs and Coach Reed and his staff, and that went great. And then last year, I got blessed with another opportunity with the Miami Dolphins to do an internship with them as well. And so when it came chance to go to the Vikings, it was really a no-brainer because I had already been pre-exposed to working with and coaching and talking with pro players already. So now being there, it was almost like having a cheat sheet because really, man, you're dealing with grown men who you want to get across to them that I want to help you. And from those guys, listen to them, as well because they got experience, and they'll give you some knowledge on some things as well. So I think the way I come at guys, I'm always trying to hear them, but then get them to kind of try to see it from a different perspective, a different set of lenses. Because oftentimes, hey, look, man, try it this way for me. As opposed in college, it wasn't no try it this way. It's more, hey, I want it done this way. That's how we're gonna do it. And at this level right now, it's doing a good job of trying to deliver the message, and hear them and receive them as grown men too.
Yeah, it's a big balance, and you hear people talking about that all the time. So I think that's a pretty good take on it, is getting them to try to look it through a different lens. That's just coaching in general. You got 4 or 5 different coaches on one side of the ball at one time on any game day. Even more now at the NFL. So it's all about getting them to create the best cohesive mix of views, and it's always good to have more brains than not enough, I think.
Yeah.
So moving into the decision and, like you said, being able to get that next opportunity. One thing I like about Brian Kelly and what he said about things like this is that he doesn't want to, prohibit anyone from, one, chasing their dreams, two, being able to get an opportunity that helps them in their career. I think this one, without a shadow of a doubt, is going to help your career leaps and bounds. What did Brian Kelly say to you after this decision, and how did he help, motivate you to keep on this path?
Well, originally when I left LSU, we just came off beating Purdue, and I left to go to Colorado,
Yes, sir.
right? And I was Coach Prime and his staff for about 35 days. And what BK told me, quite frankly, he said, man, you did a great job here, and continue to grow and teach as you do as a coach. And so he was excited for me to go to Colorado as well. And then when the chance came to go to the NFL, I came back for pro day, and he told me the same thing. He said, hey, man, just keep going after your goals, and so BK has been very supportive. I still text him time to time to this day, and he get right back to me.
He's a great dude, great coach, funny off the field. A lot of people don't get to see the real Brian Kelly. So when you get to peel back that coaching brain and hear the real him, it's pretty cool. He's a really nice guy, really down to earth person.
Oh, most definitely. He got a good sense of humor. The meetings were always, you could always kind of be, on your toes in terms of, when he gonna, bring out a joke to the guys and get the guys to relax, and I love the phrase of, we want our guys to play fast, free, and physical. And I use that now. I say it now is to play fast, play free, and be physical. And so a lot of things that he preached and teaches to our players, I've also adapted and will still as I continue to go through my journey.
And that's what it's all about. The journeys and watching people go from LSU and succeed, and whether it be a student, an athlete, a coach, anything. It's a lot of opportunity out there, especially coming from a big powerhouse school like this. Speaking of another person who came from a powerhouse and went on to not only level up their career but continue to live their dream as well, Coach Jamar Cain. He's going to join the NFL Brotherhood of Coaches and go to the Denver Broncos. I thought that was an exciting move. We were in the building interviewing Jacoby and Gilroy the day that news was announced, so we got to get his take on it and how he reacted to it. How did you react to that news?
Man, that's my guy. Like me and Coach Cain, we cool, and it was good working with him, man. I learned a lot from him in terms of just from a teaching standpoint, recruiting, how to handle your business, and then I think it was unique to see two guys who somewhat come from different approaches of how we teach it. He would still put himself in position to hear my point of view. And so one thing about Jamar that I love, man, is his ability to be receptive, right? I think oftentimes guys get places and they're not going to change at all. And at times, we'd be in the meeting room and there may be a drill that I want to do or something that, I saw a little differently to him. And what I appreciated about Jamar, man, was I could say it to him behind closed doors. I could say it, man, I don't agree with that. And sometimes he'd be like, yeah, man, I hear that. It makes sense. Or sometimes, he wanted to do it a certain way still. But the fact that he was open to have critical conversations and to allow me to give feedback, to me, man, he'll be a brother for the rest of my life. Matter of fact, I think he lands here today in New Orleans. And I think we're going after dinner tonight. And so being with Jamar, man, to me, his wife, DeCarla, and the kids, Cosby and Callie, I see them as family for the rest of my life.
Yeah, great people, another good coach as well. It's a good journey for him to continue down, and seeing him and you in the NFL is going to be great. Speaking about another person that we have in the NFL from LSU, Jaquelin Roy. I know he's close with you, close with Coach Kane, close with me as well. He's in Minnesota with you now. What does that mean to be able to reunite with someone like J. Roy?
God's not finished with with our relationship, right? To be in J. Roy's life now for a little over a year, it's been incredible, man. And seeing his maturation from college and now to NFL, It's cool, man. I mean, and to see a person who me and J. Roy at times, we had our run-ins, right? Like coaching, everybody think it's always lovely dovey. It's not always that. But me and J. Roy was able to have tough conversations, and then now to have a chance to work with him in the NFL is to me it's awesome because we both from Louisiana. I'm from Shreveport, right? Jay Roy's from Baton Rouge, and so we both big Tiger fans. And so to see him and even Jay Ward, right, to see both of those two guys who I was with last year to be in the Minnesota Vikings colors, it's awesome, man. And seeing his growth and how he's been in the playbook, how he's studying now, and how our defense is very challenging at the Vikings. To see that young man take these strides and buy into things, it's been awesome.
Has there been any moment yet where he's run into you and been like, "Hey, coach, I need some help on this," or anything during training camp so far?
Oh yeah, for sure. Playbook wise, because oftentimes, man, you'll hear guys say it's terminology, right? So, we have certain play calls at the Vikings that we had at LSU, and we just send it differently now. So for J. Roy, at times I'm able to say, "Hey, look, man, you remember how you used to say slant and angle, and you do a short stunt or a face stunt. This call here that we're running now is similar to that exact same call." And so being able to show him and relate some things, put it in these kind of buckets, and and learn these concepts. That's been the coolest thing about it is that he feel completely comfortable asking me certain questions because we coached him last year. So that's how I would say that with him.
And that's super smart for Minnesota to keep that relationship together. That LSU relationships, it seems like once you bring them from college to the NFL, they multiply in terms of success. I mean, look at Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. That's another example of great chemistry and great cohesiveness that's going to translate at the pro level. And I could see you and Jay Roy being very similar. I mean, y'all are two peas in a pod, and not only that, but Jay Roy's year last year really big, really big. I'm excited to see how he transitions to the next level.
Yes, sir. Me too. I'm excited, man. I got high hopes for him, and I told him every day. Our phrase is keep stacking days, stack the days on top of each other. And so he's gonna do very well.
I agree. I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of someone else I think is going to do really well, Mason Smith. What was that journey like with him last season? I know things were tough in the beginning, but all in all, I'd say it helped grow him into a better player. So what do you see in Mason, and what do you think about his comeback for 2023?
Oh man, let me tell you something. You talking about a guy that is passionate, that's loyal to his state. Um, I think it's only going to be great things for him this season. And we would have tough conversations at times from a mindset, right, and talking about faith, and talking about God, and he would ask me questions, Coach Pat, man, this is tough. I think oftentimes going through these adversities, it kind of helped reveal who you are. And I think the way Mason has attacked, his recovery, and his road back, I think, it's also allowed him to pick up some better habits, right, on how to have a better diet. Because the things that he's doing now, these habits that BK often talks about, habits and traits, I think these habits and traits that we preach at LSU, Mason Smith is now being able to apply habits and traits so that when now, as he put those things in place at LSU, when he gets to the National Football Leagues, because he's been building this corrective habit in terms of being able to learn how to eat properly with Dr. Frakes, learn how to work out correctly with Jake Flint, learn how to go to the athletic training room, with Mickey. Now when he gets to the NFL within a year from now, he'll know because the habits that he built and the traits that he's established, he'll know who he is. So when he gets to the NFL, I think it makes his path a little bit easier because of that adversity that he went through last year.
I agree. Yeah, I think the thing I was preaching to him during this was that tough times don't last, but tough people do. And I think that this moment made him a hell of a lot tougher. His first year in his life where he's had to sit away from football. There's been over a decade of just consistent football for Mason. So being able to see him get back on the field this season will be very exciting. And like you said, to be able to see that growth and see it translate more in the future will be even more exciting. Speaking of someone's growth and someone who's going to be interesting to pair with Mason Smith, Harold Perkins Jr. What a captivating player and probably the talk of college football for the last couple of months. What do you think about him and the impact that him and Mason will have on SEC offenses in 2023?
Uh, it's gonna be tough, right? Because Harold is a special player, and when you got a talent like that, and a guy that's passionate and is focused, and I think oftentimes kids are just called talented. Harold Perkins is very smart, and I always call Harold in my mind he was an ear hustler. We could be talking about things on the sideline, and I'm not even thinking Harold is close enough to the conversation to hear, and Harold be kind of right there by me, and he'll say, "Hey man, what you just said again about that?" Mind you, I'm talking to these other two dudes, and Harold would hear that information, and pick it up, and then go out there and apply it. And so I forgot what game we was playing last year. Matter of fact, it was Arkansas. And we're big on ball disruptions. And we kept telling Harold, "Hey man, reach and break. Stop swatting, reach for the ball." And we go out, we make that that adjustment at halftime. And I'm pretty sure Harold came back out in the second half, and he started actually reaching and breaking. It actually led to a takeaway. And so Harold is special, man. I think we can't forget about Makai Wingo, right? You got that guy out there too now who will be coming back as a all SEC All American. Now you got a three-headed now you have a three-headed monster in that front that people got to prepare for, and that's going to be a problem.
I agree. I mean, I would be stressed day and night trying to figure out the answer to stopping that front. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if people are going to be able to figure it out. But talking more a little bit about what you said with Harold Perkins being smart, yeah, that goes under the radar for some people. They've seen him, especially because he's a freshman. He's younger. Some people might just assume that he's got a lot more left to learn. But watching some college football games with him side by side, the things that he's able to tell you and read and digest, whether it be from film or just studying in general, I mean, he is a football IQ magnet. He's the sponge word that we used earlier.
Absolutely, man. I mean, the kid is smart, and once again, a smart kid, he listens to the guys around him, right? Like, he'll listen to Mason, he'll listen to Makai Wingo. And some kids, they can be hard-headed and not want to be shown the way. Harold's like, "Hey, man, show me the way." You know what I mean? And when it's come time for him to take the lead, Harold takes the lead as well. And so the kid is very smart.
I agree. Well, before we let you go, what do you think about LSU's chances in 2023? Big year one with Coach Brian Kelly and shocked the world. Didn't shock me. I knew they had the potential for it. SEC run. I think they're going to be able to go ahead and put together another one. But what do you think about it, being from the inside?
If we continue to build up on our process take care of the results. And I think the way we ended the season with Purdue, that was a building up on our process. And the way that these guys are being taught about traits, habits, nutrition, how to sleep, how to be responsible men, those things will take care of the results. And so as long as our guys continue to build up on the process that's being preached and taught to them, the results that we're all hoping for and waiting for, it's going to come. It has no choice but to happen because it works. So if they keep building up on the process, we'll be fine.
I believe so, and the process is looking good. I believe, it's ahead of schedule, if I do say so myself.
Oh, yes, sir. Once again, because it's day in and day out, right? I would tell the guys all the time, it's not something I created, but, like J.J. Watt said, success is rented, and rent is due every day. And those guys have to continue to put that work in and day out. And that take care of what everybody wants. Everybody wants to win, right? But if you take care of day in, day out, and you focus on your process, and you focus on your Sunday, your Monday, your Tuesday, your Wednesday, your Thursday, your Friday, and you execute every day of the week that we have, that we call their LSU, Saturday will be successful.
I agree. Well, Coach Pat, thank you very much for coming by, talking some football with us. Glad to have you on the show.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you too. Anytime.
Looking forward to have you again in the future. Well, thank you all for tuning in. This has been the Verdant Verdict, where we bring you sports talk on the go. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in bio, and y'all enjoy the rest of your day.